So, hello and welcome, Stuart, to Accountants for Sexy Change My Mind. Everybody, this is Stuart Hurst from Accounts and Legal. I'm going to leave it up to Stuart to give you a little insight into what Accounts and Legal do and who he is.
Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, thanks for having me on. So yeah, I'm Stuart, Director at Accounts and Legal. Ultimately, we work with small business owners to really help them understand the numbers, grow the business, and sleep better at night. So that tends to be from £250,000 up to maybe £5 million, quite a sweet spot. Using cloud accounting. I'm very anti-dinosaur accountant, those that see their accountant once a year kind of thing. So it's all about quarterly catch-ups and minimum, and really kind of like maximizing the app stack to take away the mundane, the boring stuff, the stuff that nobody, not even accountants, want to do for a living, to free up owners' time to do the kind of more exciting, growing stuff, making more money, spending more time with the family, whatever floats the boat.
I think the problems are common. When you say the problems that accountants are solving, it's common across the board. But what I see you doing that's different to some people is you are, and I don't like to use the term modern because it all of a sudden becomes outdated, doesn't it? But you do have a relatively modern approach. As you say, you look at their app stacks, and you don't tend to see a lot of accountants using that phraseology, actually. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think it's still a small number, kind of like there's a true digital accountant. There's a few that are on the cloud wave in terms of getting used to your Xero and your QuickBooks, but they don't, I don't know if they don't appreciate it, maybe don't feel comfortable yet with the true power of automation and where it can go, and the app stack, and that just the world's changed even in the last 5 years, that we can do more than just, in inverted commas, the numbers. That we can, accountants are in such a powerful place around process and connections to really help business owners, as opposed to that, well, you've made X amount and let's try and save you some tax. Well, there's a lot more to it than that these days.
Absolutely, 100% agree. And I think that you're quite right. I've been working on and off with accountants for the past 7 years, and the difference in the practices that I was working with back then to where I am today and who I'm working with today is the difference is phenomenal. And this is why it's such an exciting industry for me, because it's almost like the crossover and the merging between technologies is so integral these days that marketing and accounting just like fit together like a little glove. It's beautiful. Tell me about why you became accountant in the first place. What was your reckoning moment?
I did a degree and I left there saying I never want to be an accountant. It's boring as hell. Like, forget it, not a chance. Ended up working as a manager at Game and then Toys R Us, and that was not as much fun as I thought it would be in life. Like, I thought I'd be,
Game's a pretty sweet gig.
Game was all right, yeah. Toys R Us was like, oh, I hated that draft. I loved it when that draft went bankrupt. I probably shouldn't say that, but I quite enjoyed it. But then just thought, you know what, like I want to be doing something. I've always been good with numbers and problem solving, and maybe I should give it a second chance. So I kind of just went back to accountancy just because I was good at numbers, and problem solving was the main driver. And I was an all right accountant for 8 or 9 of the 16 years I've been doing it. Bit of jack of all trades, was all right. But I only realised I was doing it properly when I watched Simon Sinek's What's Your Why, and it was about like helping business owners succeed and helping them grow. I got a real buzz from seeing them, and then I went to XeroCon in the same week and saw the power of cloud and was like, whoa, this can be so different to what I'm doing. And that's probably, it's as corny as hell, but like I always say, Gary Turner was like my Morpheus, and I was like Neil, then it was like, oh, whoa, this is it, this is where it goes. Yeah, that was that dreadful moment. So now,
have you ever told Gary that he's your Morpheus?
Oh, well, I don't think I've told him that specifically. I've told him how much I love him all the time, and how he changed my life left, right. It's pretty sick of me for these like thinks I've got pictures of him across my walls and like Alan Partridge super fun.
As long as you don't start signing your name Stuart Turner,
Yeah, this is it. But yeah, so that's what changed the game, and that's that. Now I realise I'm an accountant because, like, I'm like passionate about helping people, and like my dad had a failed business, like it went pear-shaped for him big time, and I remember the stress. I was 14 years old. He couldn't put food on the table. We literally had holes in our trousers. Like, we were proper. We didn't have 2 pence. The holiday was a trip to Rel if we were lucky for a year. And I remember the stress, and I almost taken over the family finances at 14 because he couldn't handle it. And I would never wish that on anybody. And now for me, the cloud stuff's the vehicle to stop that happening to anyone else. So now that's my driver. Yeah.
So that's what the Simon Sinek video bought from you, did it?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't realize it when I fell into accountancy at first, but like when I hit that and hit Xero, that came together, and it was like, now I can, almost do some good as opposed to kind of like crunch some numbers. So yeah.
That's a lovely story. I have actually said or stated in the past that Simon Sinek's Why video is the most overused video, but I still think everyone should watch it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lazy video for marketers and business coaches just to pull out and just say, okay, watch this video. You know, like the old videos where they just like in school and they just pull it out and just like, you know, I think it's overused.
Yeah.
But I think it's an important video and message nonetheless. I actually bought the course, How to Find Your Why, because I think it is super valuable.
Yeah, I think so. And I think you get different people in their journeys. Like, when it hit me at the right time, like, and I found it, and I've done it with other people, and they get it, and other people, they watch it and go, so what, almost, and you think, well, you're not there yet, kind of thing. You've not found your why. So yeah,
and that's reasonable. So you've always had this kind of inclination towards the numbers and the problem solving. Would you say that that's a kind of integral part of your personality? Would you describe yourself kind of as the introverted type or the extroverted type? Because your marketing might surprise people.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people I'm an introvert, and no one ever believes me. They always think you're the biggest liar ever. Like, you're not at all. You don't show up, and you're dead loud. But I still feel there's an element of, I don't know, that it's a mask to some extent, if you like, in terms of where things are at. But yeah, when it comes to work, I do like to be heard. I do like to. I do wave my arms around a lot and get very excited, talk very quickly, as you can tell, get very passionate about these things. So on the disc profile, I think it's influencer in terms of kind of like where I tend to sit on things with it, which probably isn't like most accountants. Like, and I found I used to be able to sit in silence and number crunch for 8 hours. I couldn't do that now, kind of thing. When I started my career, that was my happy place. It isn't now. Like, that would be my hell. So I've definitely got more comfortable in front and around people, and like enjoy being face to face. Whereas, years ago, nothing would have probably filled me with as much fear. Whereas now, put me in front of 1,000 people talking, I would love it.
And that's really lovely to hear as well. I think it's once again, there's so many different types of accountants out there, and I speak to a whole bunch of beautiful people all day, every day. But I love it when people are pushing their business forward and are happy to speak in front of 1,000 people. Not that I would be, by the way. I would absolutely brick it, but nevertheless, it's nice to hear. So, what would you say the preconceptions are about accountants? What challenges need breaking down? Not challenges. What stereotypes need taking?
I think that still lingers, the like dull, boring, grey favourite colour. I mean, there's not wrong, grey favourite colour, I guess, but that stereotype of like,
there's 50 shades of them, don't you know?
Yeah, well, yeah, this is it. But yeah, so I think that still lingers to some extent. And then I still think you've probably got the other end. There is sometimes my misconception for me is like, I hate wearing suits. I am a hoodie or cloud accounting, t-shirt wearer. But some people see that as, you're just this kid that's trying to be trendy that doesn't know his stuff almost. You almost come across too simple maybe, as opposed to. So I think there's almost like this split now of like, you're this old school boring person, or you're trying to be this rad trendy and with no substance. And like the answer really is in somewhere in between the two. Is 90% of accountants. It's kind of like we're not either ends of those. Like that's kind of what I've seen the last year or so.
I definitely see more, and it is a younger generational thing. The younger generation of accountants, they're more casual, and it's all probably because they've kind of warmed in and grown into this world where everyone's given out with merch. So merch never used to be available to that extent. You might be lucky if you got a pen, and now you're getting hoodies, caps, you know, all kinds of stuff. So maybe that's the difference. But there is definitely, and it depends. I think it very much depends on who your clients are and what they expect from you, and how good are you at delivering it. Because if you're good at something, they don't really care whether you wear a cap, hopefully.
Yeah, that's it. It's mindset, isn't it? It's like-minded people. And when I do my social media posts, like, I know I don't ever want someone to look at it and just think, it's all right. Like, there is strategy, and I want them to love it or hate it. Like, almost, I want to be my mind, because there's no money for being in the middle, as they say. So I want to attract people that are like-minded, and that you know, are okay with what I wear, and the language being a bit more informal. But I know that's not for everyone, and if you need someone in a suit and tie, I want someone to speak in a particular way that's probably a bit more formal and right, dear sirs, then that's fine. But it's not me, then that's okay.
That's such a good way of looking at this, and I think that there's too many people that say, I need all the business, and my target market is everybody, and I want everybody to have everything, and it just confuses everyone, and they end up missing out. So the more you can tell people I'm not for you, the better, in my opinion. But that is such a bold move.
Yeah, definitely. And it's hard for some firms, like on the accounting, like, it's easy now. You know, now I'm a director and I've got more say, and I hope I can empower the staff to, like, if they want to turn up more formal, like, I'd never say you have to dress down, or you have to, like, just be you, really, like, and trying to do that. But it can be hard, particularly like the larger accounting, more corporate backgrounds, when they have got a range of huge audit clients turning over hundreds of millions that are, you know, financially literate, so to speak, and expect a certain thing. But they've also got sandwich bars that don't know the first thing about numbers, and that can be really challenging for the staff then to try and appeal to all bases. So it's not easy.
Yeah, definitely. So I need to talk to you about your marketing, because this is the reason that you're here. We have to start with it. Talk to me about why you're on TikTok.
I got sucked into it. I can't remember if it was mother half or relatives that sucked me into TikTok at the start of lockdown, not 18 months ago, and it was one of those things of, I was thinking, I'm 12, this is just kids dancing, like, basically, is what my initial thought was. And then scrolling through, just laughing out loud at so many, like, really entertaining things, and all sorts of businesses, from accountancy, mortgages, legal stuff. And I kind of thought, there's a market for this kind of thing. There's something I can do. So I would never have carried it on were it not for the first. I did the first one about Rish's announcements kind of thing, about waiting for it, and it was to the Daruda Sandstorm soundtrack kind of thing, of like getting ready. And it didn't do much on TikTok, but when I copied that onto LinkedIn, it went like 60,000, 70,000 views, and I thought, like, wow, that took me about 10 minutes to create, if that. Like, it was so good at creating TikTok, so good for piecing together, and I got such reach comments. I felt like, wow, there's something in this. Like, I need to, and this isn't a one-shot thing. And that's kind of where it started. And I'd done videos before that were like 3 and 4 minutes that were a little bit daft sometimes, but they were generally technical with the odd daft things thrown in. And then they probably the TikToks get a little bit dafter, and they've just gone down really great, really, and they've just been a great way to spread the net, so to speak. How
did you feel when you posted your first TikTok on LinkedIn?
A little bit nervous. I'd had an idea for a TikTok for a while, but I wasn't going to do it around Rishi announcements. I was going to wait until tax return season, personal tax, and it being like 31st of January, we're waiting for this deadline. And then it just felt right to do it with Rishi's. And I remember being a little bit more skeptical on how it was going to go, kind of thing. And if it would have died, I probably would never have done it again, in all honesty. I left it. And I'm still a little bit, I push the boundaries sometimes, or they're a bit daft, like, especially when I'm trying to drag like Darcy or Max into them sometimes. Like, it's they're good sports for it. And it's one of them sometimes. I think, how far can you push it? And I've not always made the right steps, but you just think on the whole, like, you've got to try these things, otherwise you know, you're always going to sit in the crowd, so to speak. So
definitely, you have to be able to separate yourself from the crowd, and you don't necessarily have a USP as an accountant's firm. You can identify your clients, and you can really drill down on the benefits of what you do, and you know, you can have different expertise, but really separating yourself from a bunch of other accountants can be super tough. So I think you've done a marvelous job. Tell me about some of the best TikToks that you've done. What ones have you really either enjoyed or just find absolutely hilarious?
Oh, that is a good question. Yeah, I like the where I've done a voice for like the receipt bank stuff about like with a funny voice, someone saying they can type purchase invoices in quicker, and then it clipped to me with the Austin Powers, how's about now kind of thing. Was like quite a cool one that went well. It's surprising sometimes the ones that go down well on TikTok in views are totally different to the ones that go down well on LinkedIn in terms of like the algorithm and people that pick it up as well. So there's some I think this is going to be amazing, and then it doesn't do anything on one of them, and it's like, oh, how's that not working? I've liked obviously the Sage versus Xero ones. There's a lot of tongue in cheek with that. Obviously, I'm not most fond of Sage, and I love my Xero, but obviously I build that up and make that into something that I can poke fun at. And obviously the big one was Go Proposal getting bought by Sage. And last week, so I had to on a dig there. I had to do that wear a Practice Ignition t-shirt, biggest rival. So I had to a bit of fun. Obviously, I love James and Paul at Go Proposal, but I couldn't let that.
You couldn't miss the opportunity, and neither should you. And I thought it was banging, absolutely banging. I noticed the Practice Ignition t-shirt, and as a Practice Ignition user, tagged my rep in. I was like, you've got to see this. And then when Sage said that they really loved the colour of your shelves because they were green, had me in stitches. I really enjoyed that post.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good that it's nice. Like even Sage get involved in message. It's mad sometimes, and yeah, companies with huge followings and news sizes actually message me and get involved. I always think, you know, that can't do me any harm, even if it's the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. It adds the credibility, doesn't it? If you're talking about it, and you know, when you're discussing openly issues that you're coming across, like online or with these various softwares, it just kind of adds to your credibility, and people get to know you and what makes you tick a bit more. So this is all really useful. Apart from TikTok, what other kind of marketing do you do?
Yeah, so well, on the postings, like on the socials, LinkedIn, there is a strategy. So I have a 4-pillar strategy effectively for my marketing. So TikTok tends to be humour, like they are more often than not the daft stuff. So humour, personal stuff. So like I say, I've written bits about my dad and my life and other bits and pieces. So they're the two that connect to people more. They always get the biggest reach and the most likes, always. But they very rarely get someone messaging me specifically on something like asking for work. And then my other two is social proof. So I'll put reviews up or comments from clients on work we've done. And then the fourth and final one is technical bits where on occasion I'll talk about accountancy or a piece of software or an app. And they have the worst reach and engagement as a rule, but they have the most in terms of people messaging and actually winning clients kind of thing. So that's the strategy that I have, is the 4-pillar strategy on the way I market. LinkedIn and TikTok are a massive part of it. And networking, I still love my networking, but I am always feeding, you know, I don't do business cards. I'm always, nope, connect with me on this. And then even if we don't see each other very often, they're seeing my content. I'm on the radar. So there's that strategy to it as well on the networking front to kind of connect the dots. And I think some people go up marketing as I'm going to do a bit of this, a bit of this, a bit of this, and it's hard to bring it together. And then we've got website SEO, blog writing. I contribute to those. Admitting I don't drive them as much, but I contribute to those. And the website's going to go through a bit of a revamp soon, but there's again a bit of a strategy there to bring some of those videos online and give them a permanent place. So next thing is thinking about things like YouTube channels as well for both the daft stuff and the more technical stuff. So it's got somewhere, because LinkedIn's great, but it doesn't live for very long. And once it's a week old, it's dead,
disposable content. You can create evergreen and then reshare it, but there's limits to that too. So it's disposable.
But yeah, there is, although yeah, you might not think it looking at it sometimes. Yeah, there is a kind of strategy in the background on it. I'll never do too many of the same posts like back to back running, so to try and keep it fresh, and I monitor the numbers religiously in terms of views, comments, work won from it, messages, that kind of stuff, just to see,
just to learn and grow.
Yeah, know what's working, know what's not, and it also keeps me from being faddy or I'm busy this week, so I'm not going to post TikTok. Well, tough, like you need to post one because you've not done one for a week. So
because you can see your numbers slipping. So come on, boys.
Because marketing's the first thing to go for accountants, especially. Like I'm in a group of accountants now, chatting about like business development and marketing, and the common things I've been too busy to do this week. Well, it's not good enough, really. Like being brutal, like why should that slip? Like client work's important, but
you haven't prioritized it.
Yeah, that's it. So that's the big one for me, is like by having that accountability and tracking it so much, if things start to slip, it's a kick up the butt for me, so to speak, to get back on it.
So with other accountants, that sometimes confidence is an issue when it comes to marketing, because it's so far outside of their comfort zone. When you're an accountant, you don't get taught to market, you get taught to do accounting work. So this is a skill that they have to learn. What would your advice be to people who are trying to do something new in their marketing and are just a bit nervous?
Yeah, don't be afraid. This is a Pinterest from James Ashford, but version 1 is better than version none. Like that is a definite. Like when I look back to my first videos 4 years ago, they were cringe. Like they were stuttery. They weren't great. I read from a script like this virtually. Like there was no personality that came across. There wasn't this, kind of just normal chat. It was just so rigid. But you have to start somewhere, or even then learning about lighting kind of thing, and like, I need a softbox, I need to get a green screen. Like I didn't know that day one. Like it's only from doing a few and realizing you look a bit in the shade or it doesn't look quite right. And I would say ask your peers, ask people around you. Where I am good is I am like a sponge around, like last night I went to the Xero HQ, 12 other accountants, and I asked them a million questions on what you're doing great, what you're struggling with, and I on that rare occasion, that's where I'm great at listening as opposed to talking, and like I will suck it up and be like, oh, I'll take a bit from there, take a bit from there. So generally, a lot of the cloud community that are doing this kind of stuff are really happy to help, really happy to share, whether that's talking about their equipment they're using, things they're talking about, or what's doing well in terms of driving sales. So don't be afraid to reach out and ask other accountants, because you're not in direct competition with. There's so many of them, really, but there's enough work to go around for the good ones that get out there. So we're more than happy to fly the flag.
And this is one of the things I love about the accounting industry. The more I get into it, the more collaborative I see it. People are talking all the time. The communities are thriving. Sharing knowledge, sharing information, sharing problems. I'm in a group of accounting professionals and bookkeepers on Facebook, and they are like the most supportive people in the world. And they're parts of business between each other. I mean, it's quite astounding. Even like, the payroll and the bureaus, they just still support each other. It's wonderful. So, we're going to have to leave it there, but there is one final question, and I probably do have to get you on again, because I would still like to pick your brains, because I think you've got more in there. Half an hour I can get out of you. But there is one final question, Stuart. What is the sexiest thing about accounting?
Oh dear. Well, it's not the dancing. I can vouch for that, having been to a variety of accountant bashes. It's just it's a bit of a cheesy one, but just the difference it can make to people's lives. Like literally, you can help them sleep at night and feed the children, and that's like my biggest thing. That maybe it's not sexy, but I just think it's really cool. You can go on with a smile on your face and that when you've done that. And, you can break down a language that can be difficult for people into something that's understandable, and that is just so cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's pretty much how I would say it as well. I think that the accounting professionals are damn sexy. So, thank you very much for coming on Accountants Are Sexy, Changed My Mind. I'm pleased to say that you haven't changed my mind one bit. Where can people get hold of you?
Well, LinkedIn is a place that I often live, so yeah, Stuart Hurst on there. I think I'm Stuart Hurst Cloud on Twitter as well. I don't tweet so much, but I'm in and around there. So yeah, they're the best 2 places to grab me.
Great. Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.